Good morning and welcome to Wake Up Wichita, the show where we're keeping you caught up, laughing a little, and getting your day started right here in the Air Capital. I'm Kayla G, and this week we're talking local events, what's trending online, and a few stories that definitely woke us up before the coffee kicked in. This week we've got this.
Clear the Shelters is the nation's largest adoption campaign. This is happening all throughout the month of August, and the goal is to help more animals find loving homes. Sadly, many shelters are facing an overcapacity crisis right now.
Community is a big deal to us, and the first episode is kind of us talking about with our group, our church group, kind of this decision and should we do it? And it took a lot of prayer and thoughtfulness.
All that and more right here on a show we like to call Wake Up Wichita.
Some mysteries stay hidden for decades, and sometimes even longer. A new season of Expedition Unknown follows explorer Josh Gates as he travels the world chasing lost civilizations, legendary treasures, and some of history's biggest unanswered questions. One of this season's most remarkable discoveries involves a long-lost World War II shipwreck connected to more than 1,000 missing Allied prisoners of war. Josh Gates joins us now. Welcome to the show, Josh. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
All right, you've spent years investigating mysteries around the world, but this season opens with the discovery of Hofuku Maru. What was it like to be part of a search that carried so much historical and emotional weight?
This is an amazing experience. I'm really excited for folks to see the season premiere. This ship is what's known as a hell ship. It's a part of World War II that myself, and I'm sure many people, really didn't know much about. These were prison ships that were used by the Japanese to transport Allied POWs around the Pacific. And we work with this incredible organization. These guys you see there on the screen, they're part of a group called the Hell Ships Memorial Foundation. These guys have spent years digging through archives, looking for clues as to the location of this ship, the Hofuku Maru. And after 80 years of being lost, their research has led to it being found. So for us to be able to take our viewers there and get a firsthand look at a ship where 1,000 POWs went down is a really emotional thing and a really thrilling expedition that a lot of hard work went into for these guys. And so I'm thrilled to feature their hard work on the show.
And that story of Japanese hell ships isn't really something many people learn about in school. What surprised you most as you dug into this chapter of World War II history?
Well, the scale of it. I mean, there were about 135 of these hell ships that transported, over 100,000 POWs during the war. And many of these ships were sadly bombed by U.S. forces. The Japanese disguised these ships within their military convoys, and so they became unintentional targets for the Allies, making this kind of a doubly tragic story. But the fact of the matter is there are thousands of these POWs still out there that have not been found. And so this is an opportunity to really fulfill that promise of no man left behind, right? And to go and search for them. They've been waiting all this time. So really shocking numbers of people that are still out there and that there are still big discoveries like this to be made from World War II. So really exciting stuff.
And your team helped locate a wreck that had been lost for more than 80 years. Can you walk us through how modern technology and old archival research came together to make that discovery possible?
Yeah, so the real crux of the discovery is the good old-fashioned sleuthing that was done by this researcher, John Dureski, who's part of the Memorial Hell Ships Foundation. This guy went digging not just in the American archives, but in the Japanese archives. And it was the Japanese archives that offered a clue as to where this ship sank. Many people thought that it sank about 30 miles away from where it was found. Using that research, sonar survey was done. A wreck was located on sonar. We then went out and dove down to really get eyes on this wreck and to begin photogrammetry, which is a photography scan of the wreck to really see it from all angles and to kind of bring it back to life in a way. So yes, it's this combination of good old-fashioned detective work and some high-tech tools.
And this season also takes viewers from underwater wrecks to ancient civilizations, hidden tunnels, and lost treasures. Was there one adventure that pushed you furthest outside of your comfort zone?
Oh, I mean, we go to Mexico in this season searching for the story behind one of Mexico's oldest civilizations, the Zoque. They went way out into the jungles in the Chiapas region of Mexico. This is a really wild part of the Mexican interior and huge caves, huge cliffs. So going underground in Chiapas into the world of the Zoque was hugely demanding, but also just about as exciting as you can imagine. Going out into these caves that nobody has explored to find artifacts that have been sitting down there, offerings that have been sitting in the dark for centuries.
And after all these years of exploring the unknown, what keeps you chasing the next mystery, and what can viewers expect from this new season?
I think it's the same thing that had me interested in this when I was watching The Goonies as a kid. These stories are just naturally incredibly engaging. What kid doesn't dream of finding pirate treasure, secret tunnels, lost civilizations? These stories just have such a natural hook, and they're real. This is real history. And so I think for me, I'm like a kid in a candy store out there. The opportunity to go and explore these stories is the thrill of a lifetime. And to share that with our viewers is really what it's all about.
You're also going on a live tour from city to city across the country. What can we expect from your show?
Yeah, so an evening of legends and mysteries and adventure. If you're a fan of the show, it's an opportunity to dig a little deeper, go behind the scenes. And if you're just finding the show, but you love adventure, and who doesn't, it's a chance to listen to some awesome myths and legends and stories. And so folks can get tickets to that at joshgates.com. It may not be listed yet. Those shows will be coming very soon onto the website there. But it will be an awesome evening of adventure for the whole family. So if you have kids that are into adventure, or if you grew up as a fan of Raiders and Goonies and all that stuff, it's going to be a super fun evening.
Josh Gates, I want to thank you for joining me today. For more information on Expedition Unknown, episode schedules, and behind-the-scenes content, visit discovery.com. And for tickets to Josh Gates' live show, visit joshgates.com. Josh, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Hey, thank you so much. Good to see you again.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to bring out one of the most beloved family stories ever told to a new generation? Little House on the Prairie is now streaming on Netflix, introducing the Ingalls family to longtime fans and first-time viewers alike. Today, we're joined by Luke Bracey and Crosby Fitzgerald, who play Charles and Caroline Ingalls. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Very well. Thanks for having us.
I'm doing great. My mom was a huge fan of Little House on the Prairie, so I just grew up watching all of the old shows. And it has meant so much to generations of readers and viewers. What was your first reaction when you found out that you'd be playing Charles and Caroline Ingalls?
Oh, I sort of screamed and cried, I think. Yeah, it's daunting, but it was extremely exciting because I loved the scripts and I really trusted the creators of the show, and was ready to sort of take on this new approach to the literature.
Yeah, I was thrilled to play this character of Charles because I just saw kind of a wonderful story and a good man. And I think the world needs nice stories about people trying to be good people and trying their best in a hard world and realizing that they need their family and they need their community. And, that was the real thrill for me when it came to this job. It's a nice story about people trying their best and not always succeeding and not being perfect. I just thought that was a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful story to have the privilege of being a part of.
And this series honors the original stories while creating something fresh for today's audience. How did each of you guys approach making these iconic characters your own?
I think, I wanted to honor what was in the books and kind of what we know of Caroline vaguely, but I also was really excited to sort of see her as a human who is flawed and complex and, it has a lot of room to grow. And that's what I loved about the script, I think. And there was a lot in the script that I got to play with, I think, in learning about Caroline as a full person who's, a wife and a mother is just two of the many things that she is. And I love how the script did that in these stories.
And one of the things people have always loved about Little House on the Prairie is that it celebrates family while never shying away from the realities of frontier life. What do you think audiences will connect with most in this new adaptation?
I think they might connect with the fact that life's always been difficult. Life's difficult now, and life was difficult then, and life's going to be difficult in the future. But if you've got good people around you and you're trying to be a good person, you've got good kind of core of people helping each other, be that family or community or friends or whatever it is, that's where you really succeed in life rather than just doing it yourself. No one really makes it by just doing it themselves. I think that might be something that people take from it. It takes a village to get far in life. It's really hard to just be a one-man band and try and break through the realities of the world, which are that there's things that are going to come and try and drag you down. And without other people around you, you won't get through them.
And whether someone grew up with the books or the original television series, or experienced Little House on the Prairie for the very first time, what do you hope they take away from this version?
I think it's such a great, it takes a greater view of the prairie and of the frontier. I think that's what's really excited about our series. And I don't know, there is something timeless about looking at history through the eyes of a child, because we have children all the time that are experiencing life now, and it will one day be history. And I think it's really important to see, history in sort of through the lens of a child in a sort of an aspirational way that we can all kind of learn from.
Yeah, there's hope there, right? Yeah. There's hope that even though life is tough, it can be you can make it through the tough times. I think that's what children always have. They can see that life might be hard, but they always see out the other side of it somehow. They have to.
Hey, I want to thank you too for joining me today. Little House on the Prairie is available now to stream on Netflix. Luke, Bracey, Crosby, Fitzgerald, I want to thank you too for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having us. Good to talk to you.
So what would you do if someone from your past came back to turn your life upside down? That's the chilling idea behind Cape Fear, the new psychological thriller that's been keeping viewers on edge. Joining us today are Collias and Malia Pyles, who play Natalie Bowden and Nevaeh Valentine in the series. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Hey, we're good. How are you?
Happy to be here.
Very happy to be here.
Cape Fear is packed with suspense, but it's also very character-driven. What drew each of you to your characters?
I think the fluidity of her arc, for me personally, I think Natalie is the kind of girl who didn't ever have to second guess things in her life. And it was so interesting to play someone that, like, I don't think it's calculated whatsoever, because, the circumstances are so specific that playing with what she's feeling even on that day or like that night, like, because she's just finding out new things every single day. It was just such a blessing.
Yeah. I love Natalie so much.
She loves Nevaeh.
I know. And we love each other.
What can we say?
I mean, with Nevaeh, it was similar, where it's like, it was pretty obvious right off the bat that she's like a deeply complex character. And I so value Nick, our showrunners and our creators, writing. I mean, just based off her name too, Nevaeh is literally heaven backwards. I was like, there's an immediacy to, I'm like, there's an attention to detail and a style to this show that's like really intriguing to me. And, I never had the opportunity to play a character that's so villainous at times. And, I think that was such a cool person to be in step with for so many months.
Without giving anything away, your characters develop an interesting friendship. What was it like building that relationship together on set?
I mean, it's so easy because Malia as a person is someone that I connect with. I'm so grateful to call her like one of my best friends now. We really like had each other's backs, and we go through some intimate things together as characters, and the fact that we would be able to go home together and discuss and kind of just like throw ideas to a wall together was just like such a blessing, because at the end of the day, all we want to do is play. So it was just so fun to have that relationship with you.
Yeah, there was like an immediacy there. I mean, we met in the car and we were just both like completely vibrating with energy, and it was really easy to fall in love with these characters and then fall in love with her in a lot of ways. I mean, like she said, we'd go home from work after these crazy long days and like watch movies together, and then bring parts of those movies into work the next day and be like, hey, can we bring this to our characters? And so, I mean, it was in a lot of ways just like a great lesson in trust and building something that feels at times like greater than just like the work you're putting out.
The series has such an incredible cast, including Javier Bardem, Amy Adams, Patrick Wilson. What did you learn from working alongside actors like that?
So much every single day. I think at the core of it is to put things that are genuinely important in your life first, and your artistry comes alongside with your life. And they were just always so grounded and humble with their ways of teaching. And I think like Javier feels like very almost like dreamlike in his process, and Amy's super technical. Everyone just like brought different things to the table, and I feel like it all just like mixed so well together.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like doing a horror beat with Patrick Wilson when you get to be the creepy thing behind his shoulder. I'm like, I feel like I'm in Insidious. Like, it's so cool.
I love making this perfect, gorgeous man go through hell.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Cape Fear is streaming now on Apple TV with new episodes released every Friday. Malia, Lily, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Have you ever rooted for two characters to finally figure it out, even though life keeps getting in the way? That's a big part of what has fans coming back to Ransom Canyon. Season 2 picks up 6 months later, and with more questions about love, family, and what home really means. Joining us are the stars of the series, Josh Duhamel and Minka Kelly. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Season 2 picks up 6 months after the finale without giving anything away. Where do we find Staten and Quinn emotionally when we see them again?
Well, I think that, you know, if I could take that one, my character is definitely ready to treat this relationship with the care that it deserves. Because I think he realizes after having these 6 months away, he realizes that he probably could have made more of an effort, probably could have done things differently, could have called, could have wrote, could have gone to see her, didn't do any of those things. And I think that he really wants to right the wrongs of, you know, the past mistakes he's made in this relationship. And then he finds out very quickly after that she moved on, and it's too late, dude.
One of the big themes this season is choosing between the life you built and the life you dreamed about. Minka, what makes Quinn's decision so difficult this time around?
Well, you know, she was in New York for 6 months, and, you know, it's a little easier out of sight, out of mind to romanticize this new life that she could possibly live, and meets this new guy who on paper makes so much sense and says and does all the right things. And then she goes home as she'd always planned, and she's then faced with this new version of Staten that she's wanted from him her whole life. And it's a little too late. So now she's in this predicament of, do I turn my back on this new thing that feels fresh and new and potentially promising, or do I take the opportunity, this chance to fulfill this dream of hers, you know, where she comes home, where she realizes that home isn't just this place, it's this person. And that just becomes so undeniable for her. And home is where the heart is.
And Josh, Staten has always been driven by protecting his family's legacy, but this season seems to put love more at the center of his journey. How does that change him?
Well, I think that the two kind of go hand in hand. The ranch is been so part of him and his family for so long that he sort of conflates the two. Like family, land, legacy are all kind of part of all he cares about, really. And when he loses, sorry, I took this hat from the set. I'm going to take it off. When he loses his family in season 1, he sort of loses his purpose and not really sure how he wants to go forward with the ranch. And I think that there's something happens along the way when, I think it's after she leaves, that he really realizes that he wants to share this with her. He doesn't want to go forward without having Quinn with him. And all of these things sort of come together to give him this purpose to keep going with the ranch and keep doing these things that he's done forever. And without her, there's not really much reason to keep doing it.
Also, the chemistry between the two of you has become one of the biggest reasons fans have embraced the show. What is it like continuing that relationship this season now that the stakes are even higher?
I think this season was really fun exploring this. You know, it's a whole different sort of energy between the two of them. You know, it's like she was gone and was able to just sort of, she went to play with the New York Phil and choose herself and live this new fun life out of sight, out of mind, and have some fun for a little while. And then she comes home to this new version of Staten where he's so light and charming and funny, and this is the love of her life. And so that new dynamic between them is really fun in season 2 to play with and to be genuinely charmed by. And so it's a big difference from season 1 and season 2 in that regard, I think, which is really fun.
Josh, Minka, I really want to thank you for hanging out with me today. Ransom Canyon Season 2 is now available to stream on Netflix. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Jep and Jessica Robertson became familiar faces with the Robertson family on Duck Dynasty, but now they're trading the Louisiana Bayou for a new chapter in Texas. Their new series, Jep and Jess Beyond the Bayou, follows life at Comanche Moon Ranch and their efforts to build a community around family, hard work, and at a little slower pace of life. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Okay, you guys made a pretty big change going from Louisiana to this new life in Texas. What made you decide it was time for a new chapter?
Well, I felt like it was a God thing. It just came about. We met with Bill Abbott at Great American Media and Caitlin Holbrook, and we were just sharing life with them. We had worked with Great American Media on several projects, and by the end of lunch, they were like, well, "We've never done a unscripted show, but let's do one." And we were like, "Oh my goodness, okay." And then kind of went to the drawing board of like what this could look like, and so. We really do think that God opened this door, and after meeting with the kids and kind of analyzing the pros and cons, we decided let's do this adventure.
And this is more than just moving to a ranch. What are you hoping to build at Comanche Moon Ranch?
So we've actually built some really cool, unique stays, and it's funny, that was kind of something that wasn't planned at first. We were just getting a little ranch out there. I mean, what I will say about this show is it's very, very authentic. This is what we're actually doing, and we're just kind of documenting everything that's happened up to this point. And yeah, it's been amazing. It's just a beautiful property. You can come out, like people can come out and stay here. And there's actually, like, if you're watching it and you're like, oh man, I love those ranches out there. Yeah. We have little ranches for sale. You got to come out and buy a ranch if you want to.
And be a neighbor.
It's really cool.
I think the big thing is, like, when we got out there, we had kind of a vision for, going out there. And then once we got out there, I just feel like the doors kept opening, visions kept coming, and it became a bigger picture than what our little small minds anticipated. And really just looking at it as knowing that this will outlive us, and think about all the families, all the people, all the community groups, and father, son, getaways. I think there's just a lot of special moments that will happen out there, and it's going to outlive us. And that's such an amazing thing.
And we get to see everything from big ranch projects to family dinners and welcoming new neighbors. What was important to you about showing that side of your lives?
Well, I mean, community is a big deal to us. And like, the first episode is kind of us talking about with our our church group, kind of this decision and should we do it? And it took a lot of prayer and thoughtfulness. And I think that just kind of shows you kind of where we're at in life and what community means to us. And we've met some amazing people out at the ranch, our neighbors. They're super cool. And that's what we like about it. We play pickleball together. So it's just a really neat place to get out, unplug from the busy hustle bustle of life.
And you've both spent a lot of your lives around cameras. How does Beyond the Bayou feel different from what viewers have seen from you before?
I think for one, it's, we're doing this kind of on our own with just our kids, and then actually get to introduce some of our community, our new friends out in Texas. Some are old friends. We've made some new friends. And I think that's the beauty of it is building a community wherever you're at, and being vulnerable, going out there and meeting people and being a support system for each other.
And there's a bigger idea in the show about slowing down and building a life that really means something to you. Has making this move changed what happiness or success looks like for you and your family?
I don't know about that, but something I guess we've been talking about a lot is, my mom told me when I was a kid, a true friend cares about your soul more than your happiness. And that always affected me. And it's something I try to live by, is like, I would rather, follow Christ is what we do than anything else. And so, our faith really comes out in this show, and which I think is just us. So,
Jep, Jess, Beyond the Bayou is streaming on Great American Pure Flix with new episodes Thursdays. You can also catch it Saturdays at 9 on Great American Family and GFAM+. Thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you.
If you've been thinking about adding a new furry family member, this could be a great time to do it. Clear the Shelters is back for its 12th year, helping pets across the country find loving homes at a time when many shelters are full. Kitten lady Hannah Shaw is an animal rescuer and New York Times bestselling author who knows a thing or two about giving animals a fresh start. Hannah, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
So Hannah, tell us about Clear the Shelters this year. Why is this campaign so important for shelters right now?
Absolutely. So Clear the Shelters is the nation's largest adoption campaign. This is happening all throughout the month of August, and the goal is to help more animals find loving homes. Sadly, many shelters are facing an overcapacity crisis right now. Last year, we had 5.8 million cats and dogs entering shelters, and more animals entered shelters than left. So that's why this is so important. I'm teaming up with Hill's Pet Nutrition, and we are really asking people throughout the month of August, if you have been considering adoption, make this the month that you get out there to your local shelter and bring home a lovely new cat or dog.
And what advice do you have for someone who wants a pet but isn't quite sure they're ready to adopt?
Yeah, a lot of people are on the fence or maybe are considering it. I would say this month during Clear the Shelters is a great time to go out and explore the possibilities of adoption. There are a lot of different adoption promotions and weekend events happening this month. So it never hurts to just go and talk to adoption counselors and learn a little bit more. You might be surprised by who you meet, who you fall in love with at the shelter. And don't worry that you have to be perfectly prepared to adopt. You really don't. Animals do not need perfection. They just need an open heart and a lot of love.
And once you do bring that new pet home, what are your biggest do's and don'ts for making the transition go a little more smoothly?
Yeah, when you bring home a new cat or dog, everything is new to them. They don't know your home environment. So all of those new smells and sights and sounds can be a little overwhelming for them. We want to be really patient with these animals, start them off in a home base, a little part of your bedroom or maybe in your bathroom, a safe area where they can familiarize themselves with everything. And in that space, you're going to give them all of their supplies, their toys, their litter, their food. What's great about adopting this month during August is participating shelters are going to have these lovely adoption kits from Hills. Inside this kit, there's toys, there's supplies, there's even a bag of science diet food. So your cat or dog will have the right nutrition and the right supplies from the first day. Once they are acclimated in that space, you will be able to slowly introduce them to the rest of the house, and they'll be integrated before you know it.
And how can people get involved with Clear the Shelters, even if they're not ready to adopt?
Yeah, if you know someone who's ready to adopt, bring them out to an adoption event. But even if you're not ready to adopt yourself, can you foster? I'm fostering this little puppy here, Eggy, and he only needs like 3 more weeks of foster care, and then he'll be able to go to his forever home. So, it's really, really a lovely thing that you can do. Give them a gift of making it to adoption age in a happy space. Even fostering long-term cats and dogs who just need a little bit of time outside of the kennel is a really big gift to them. So there's so many different ways to help, even if you can't adopt.
Eggy is the perfect name for that puppy.
And
where can viewers go for more information?
Okay, so viewers can go to hillscleartheshelters.com. There, they'll be able to get more information about volunteering, adopting, fostering, and find a participating shelter in your community.
Hannah Shaw, it is always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for waking up with us right here on Wake Up Wichita. We'll see you next time with more fun, more local stories, and everything you need to start your day on a good note. If you can't wait till next week, I know I can't. Be sure to follow us on social media or YouTube. Until next time, that was a show we like to call Wake Up Wichita.